Would you like to discover a revolutionary new recipe for plant-based bacon?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to take you through all the steps on how to make an amazing plant-based bacon at home. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Here on WTF, every week we talk about unique ingredients, techniques, and show you new recipes that you can do in your kitchen. So subscribe, ring the bell, and of course stick around for our weekly giveaway. This week we are unveiling a brand new recipe for plant-based bacon. And that's really exciting because if you've been following WTF for a while, you know that we only make meat analogs that are similar in flavor, texture, and feel and usage to what I like to call meat. So I think today we're just going to pass it right over to Scott. Scott, I know this is going to be a very involved recipe. Can you maybe start us off with some of the challenges you faced when we started tackling plant-based bacon and what you were looking for to make the best version of this?
Yeah, so we've made plenty of meat-based or plant-based meat analogs. That's a good one. So trying to find the texture of bacon and what makes bacon special, not just on a flavor standpoint, but the texture is really important. Crispy, but you get those fatty, chewier bits. It needs to have like a great ratio between the two. And if you don't have those, you're not really going to have that bacon feel. Because anytime you get any plant-based bacon, or even turkey bacon for that matter, it's different colors with the same texture. And that's not what bacon is. The fat, even when it's crispy fat, will have a different texture than the meat. The meat's a little bit crunchier, the fat's a little bit crispier and softer. So we really wanted to make two different textures, layer them together, and have them cook at the same rate. And it took a lot of figuring out, a lot of tests just to find what worked.
Okay, well, I'm excited to get started with it. Are we starting today? Are we doing the meat portion of it? Are we doing the fat portion of it? What's going on?
So to make this episode flow a lot better, we made the meat already. And this is similar to the hot dog recipe, which we've made before on WTF. So you will be able to see this kind of all the way through. There will be a video later this week showing you the entire process. If you just want to read the recipe, it's on our blog. Links in the description below. You'll be able to see all this, how to do it and read how to do it as well. But we made the meat, and basically what I did is I put it into some vacuum seal bags. If you don't have those at home, that's totally fine. Just put it into like a zip top bag and flatten it out. That's basically all I did here is I made it, I placed it into here. It's a very simple recipe. Once you have all your mise en place, all your stuff set up, it takes about 45 minutes to do from start to finish to get it into the oven.
Okay.
So it's involved, but the process are simple. Also, we didn't want to have to wash this twice throughout. That would make for a very long episode, you watching me wash a dish. So what we're going to make here is the fat. Now the fat's really important because we wanted the fat to not completely melt away. We wanted the fat to not be stiff and chewy, so we had to find like a happy medium, and that's what we did. And the way we did that is we took some of our Faba bean protein, which we love here. It's great. It has a nice kind of umami flavor to it, but also it cooks and it holds up really well once it's cooked. And we added some glutinous rice flour because we wanted to have some texture to it that breaks up the kind of intense burger binder, which we'll talk about in just a second. So I'm going to add this here. So that's just a 50-50 ratio. 30 grams of glutinous rice flour and 30 grams of fava bean protein. Like I said, link in the description below with the exact amount of ingredients. So then we have our very thick burger binder. Now this is just water, ice cold water, and burger binder blended together. Very important. If you don't use ice cold water, the burger binder is going to take a lot longer to hydrate. Ice cold water, it'll be done in 30 seconds. If you want to get this recipe done today, do that. It's really a great little tip with methicellulose or burger binder, whatever. So that's what I'm going to add here. And I know that looks extremely appetizing, but I assure you, when it's done, it's great. Now, why this is different, methylcellulose, when it's cooked, it gels, and then when it cools, it softens. Now, I don't want my bacon to, as it cools, turn into a puddle on the plate. So that's why I have the faba bean protein and the glutinous rice flour. So it maintains that structure, and you also get the chewiness, but you also need some fat.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want my fat to be completely flavorless, so I have some smoked salt here. And then I also have a little bit of MSG there. If you don't want MSG, we love MSG. MSG is great. If you don't want it, we have umami powder that you can sub it out for. We also have umami powder later in the recipe. So I'm going to put this in here and start just blending it a little bit.
Okay. And for people who have been following our plant-based series, and we've talked a lot about making a marbling fat, I'm sure someone's out there is like, well, can I just use the marbling fat?
Great question. Unfortunately, no. The marbling fat is made specifically to melt away and kind of give you that, fatty, juicy kind of attribute to burgers and things like this. We tried to add marbling fat to this recipe, and it just wasn't working. It was leaving big pockets within the entire mixture, so we didn't want that because you don't have big pockets within the fat, right? So what we're actually going to do, once this starts to mix in really well, I'm going to just drizzle in this coconut oil. Now, this coconut oil has been brought to about room temperature. If you feel that, Janie, it's about the same temperature as our bodies. So if I were to add this too hot, it'll set this methylcellulose, the burger binder. So I have to make sure that it is a very low temperature. If for some reason you do add it too hot, here's a quick little tip, which you may not find in the recipe. Add an ice cube or two to this. You know how I know that? I did it. So the ice cube will bring it back down to the correct temperature and allow it to mix in really well.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to add this in and blend it up. If it needs to raise the speed, that's totally fine.
Okay. And if you haven't seen the other plant-based recipes, we would really recommend checking out the burger recipe, the hot dog recipe, the steak recipe. We're going to link to that in the description below, as well as to our episodes at the end of this episode. And the reason for that is that, over the last couple of years, we've really been building and building and building upon, the knowledge that we've gotten from all this R&D. So some of this stuff, it might seem like we're covering kind of fast, and you might be like, I'm not sure what burger binder is.
Yes.
But we really go into a lot of details in the earlier episodes. So, if you want to dive deeper into it, it's a great opportunity to do so.
So I'm just going to scrape this down. It's going to need about 30 seconds more to really start coming together. That will be good.
Okay.
So we can just wait, and when this is done, we'll be able to go.
Yeah. So one quick question for you, Scott, is that this is obviously a bit of a labor-intensive type of recipe. So once you've made your bacon, are you able to keep it in the fridge like regular store-bought bacon? Can you freeze it? How do you make sure you get the most out of the amount of time that you've put into it?
Yeah. So this recipe's special is that I roast the bacon off, and then I take that roasted bacon. You can slice it immediately. You can slice that. You can place it on paper. You can either place it into a bag and freeze it, or you can place it in your refrigerator and keep it for a while. This is going to last quite a while. It's going to last over 7 days. There's a good amount of salt in it. There's a good amount of lactic acid as well that's going to help prevent it from going bad or anything like that. I wouldn't keep it for more than 2 weeks, but you can definitely keep it in the freezer for up to a month. If you have vacuum seal bags in between two pieces of paper, like parchment paper, in that bag you can keep it for a very long time. All right. I may have to do the ice cube trick with this. Ready, Janie?
Okay. Whoa.
Oh, there we go.
There might be a little B-roll right here.
Yeah, there's going to be some B-roll here. All right. Well, now that we did our ice cube trick.
Yeah. So this actually looks a lot like icing to me.
It does look a lot like icing, but it is not. I'm sure it doesn't taste like it either. But it works really great because we want to be able to spread it and give it that smooth texture. And there's another little tip to making that nice smooth texture over the top of it as well. So lots of little things here that make this bacon great, and lots of little tips because we did a ton of testing on this to make sure it was awesome. So good.